Hi everyone, we're here for another episode of the Good Vibes Show. And the Good Vibes Show is one of good vibes, good people, good in the sense that happy people, those who are looking at a cheerful angle of life. And we are thrilled to have Ramendra Kumar ji with us. He's come from Bangalore to Chandigarh for a couple of events, and we roped him in for the Good Vibes Show. Welcome.
Thank you, Vivek sir.
And what a lovely, inspiring life which is filled with resilience, with bouncing back, with capability. So Ramendra ji is not only an expert PR professional, he's an author for children, and sports fiction is his favorite genre. And he's also a very strong cancer survivor and author of a book coping with cancer, among other books, Against All Odds, etc. So let's start, Ramendra, with the premise that you have won the battle of life. So, how are you winning this battle of life, and what is it that makes you tick?
So, my catchline or tagline is battling every tumor with humor.
Wow.
And I think that's how I made it through so many ups and downs, fought so many odds, and I'm still thriving.
And humor is something which also has an impact on the body. So doctors will tell us that laughter therapy, which we talk about, and people don't realize that. So how much of this psychology, according to your own, I mean, we're not doctors, but according to your own experiences, has helped you, that positive mindset, that humorous mindset, has helped you overcome the ailment? Let's talk a little bit more in detail about it.
So when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was completely gobsmacked. I was sitting in front of the gastroenterologist and he said, you've got stage 2B cancer. And I walked out with my family and sat in the canteen and I just waved and ranted. How come me, why me, poor me? I mean, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I'm still and trim. How come this scourge has slammed into me? Just then I saw the faces of my family, the three people I love the most, my beautiful gorgeous wife, my lovely daughter and my handsome son, simply crumpled. It was as if they were seeing my own death in my eyes. At that moment, I decided I couldn't do this to them. It was not their fault that this deadly verdict had slammed into me. So I had to shift the narrative. I had to create my own story, write my own script, live it and love it. A little bit of flashback. I've had a terribly scarred childhood. I was a suicide survivor at the age of 15. My parents separated when I was 16. I suffered from a clutch of ailments, one of which is brittle diabetes, where the sugar levels operate from one extreme to the other. Then silent thyroiditis, where again the thyroid levels are on extremes. Then in 2015, I was diagnosed with a condition vaguely called as hemangioma, where there was a growth near the vocal cords and I was almost losing my voice. I was rushed from Rochester where I was working to Apollo Hyderabad and a very vital clinical surgery was performed. Then I also had twists with COVID and tuberculosis. Through all this, I managed what I just said, my mantra of battling every tumor with humor. So when this cancer verdict caught me unawares, I decided I had to go back to this mantra. And throughout my battle, this is what sustained me. This is what helped me bounce back on almost a regular basis.
You know, this is a very fascinating story, and just listening to you, I can feel the goosebumps here. How many times you had to bounce back from adversity. And if we talk of the family which you did, can you just tell me how exactly did you all cope with this? There were a lot of families who had to cope with distress, with trauma, and something like this. How did you cope with it as a family?
So for almost 1 year when I was battling this, my family was just caught up in this walk, taking me to the doctors, to the hospitals, for CT scans, making sense of reports. And I was in the ICU. And let me just tell you that I suffered 3 septic shocks. The probability of surviving 1 septic shock is only 20 to 30%. So 3 times I knocked on the door of death, shook hands with Lord Yamraj, and walked back to the kingdom of the living. My beautiful wife played Savitri to my Satyavana on 3 occasions. I
Is that something
it's the degree above simplicity. This is the final, you know. So, 4 major surgeries, then 10 rounds of chemo, 5 rounds of radiation, and I was there in the ICU for 40 days. And during that period, when my family visited me in the morning, during the visiting hours, they were not very sure whether they would actually see me alive some hours later. And when they came in the evening, they were not very sure that they would see me speaking the next day morning. Throughout all this, they never ever pressed the panic button. They never ever made me realize the kind of haters, the kind of hell I was walking through on a day-to-day basis. So, kids of this generation, you know, the late 20s and early 30s, they give you the logistics, the best hospitals, the best treatment, the best care. They sign checks left, right, and center. They don't give their time, energy, and effort. My family, especially my kids, literally put their career and their life on hold for those 6, 7 months and were around their papa and mommy. Without their support, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
I can see that, and since they are all accomplished in their own right, I mean, your daughter is a travel influencer, your wife has been a bedrock of support, you work in PSUs, which may have added to the stress, of course. You have loved cricket and now children's fiction. I have a strong feeling that the attitude which you have is the secret of victory and which you touched upon. Is it also something to do with spiritual life?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I don't believe in God, you know,
Right.
but I believe in a power which is there, which is looking after us, and which is. And my father, who's my Khuda, he's my God. He used to say that faith, and he used that oft-repeated line, faith can move mountains.
Yes.
So I have that faith. I have that faith in the Supreme Being, and that's why I'm here, sir.
So, Ravendraji, you have coped with it, you are coping with it, you're talking about it in a detached way, even though it was only 3 years ago that probably you were in the thick of the problem, in 2022 perhaps, in 21. But apart from that, and on the other side of it, you've been writing a number of books which have now at 51 books. So how do you manage this writing? And let's talk about the happy aspect of life, which has enabled you to fight that sea also.
So I started writing. I wrote my first poem when I was barely 7, and it was quite a pathetic piece of verse. It went something like this: Topsy and Tim went for a swim. Topsy swam well and broke the spell. Tim swam badly and went home sadly. I took this joke to my father, and I thought that I was kind of apprehensive. He might say that, what is this silly poetry you're writing? You should study science like Chada uncle's daughter, or study math like Putul auntie's son. But he didn't do any of these things. He picked me up, gave me a tight hug, and said one word: wonderful. So if today I'm a writer with 51 books translated into so many languages, it is because of that one single word of encouragement.
Tell me about National Book Trust picking up your book and these 1.5 million copies sold, I believe, and you know that translation in so many languages. How does it work, first of all, for an author, and how much satisfaction, fulfillment does it give you?
Like National Book Trust, most of these are picture books, except for one book which is for youngsters, teenagers. So they have been adopted in this Samadhi Shiksha program. So they work in multiple reprints and multiple languages. So that's why this huge number, 1.5 million copies and all. And some of the languages, sir, are almost like endangered. Like there's a language called Bidho, which is spoken only by 7,000 people.
Which people?
This is in this Chota Nagpur area.
Right.
The Munda community and all. And there's another language called Kahaya, which is again indigenous and endangered. So my books are reaching these languages. So it's so heartwarming, and it's so fulfilling that I'm able to reach children of this remote areas in the language which their mothers speak.
And we know growing up, books made so much impact on our lives, and the generation today doesn't read enough. audiobooks have come which have
Yeah.
helped. So, what do you feel as a children's author, especially of children's books? Um, how can we improve the mindset of the youth, the children? I'm a motivational speaker talking about this by making them inculcate the habit of writing and reading and listening to books, perhaps. What can we do?
See, usually what people say, writers say that it is because of the media, the children are moving away and all that. I don't agree. I feel the challenge is with the writer, the responsibility, the onus is with the writers. They should create such writing, such fiction, such non-fiction, which would engage the children. So it's a challenge which they have to take up and they have to fulfill. And I'm sure, because even now if you see, it is going on, people are publishing, books are being, running into, like I said, millions of copies are not being sold. You have the example of J.K. Rowling, Indian authors that they're like Ruskin Bond and all, they are still doing well.
Yeah.
So why should you be a Cassandra saying that, the reading habit is dying and all? You exert, it's a challenge for you. You take a step forward and try to get in the mindset of the child of today. His sensibilities, his sensitivity, you try to tap that rather than still stuck in the morals or that moribund ideas of years ago, how fiction was written, how non-fiction was written.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it is the water will flow, the slope. The popularity of something of a medium will increase if quality is there and if it appeals to the children, for example, here. And if they're watching reels, the reels are obviously appealing to them.
Yeah, they are also.
And books have to appeal to them.
Yes.
And they have to captivate them. Just as they did us, because we didn't have
And
it.
the medium can be different.
So medium can be different, can be visual,
It can be
can be digital. Yeah, it can be. So we go with the flow, we go with the times, but tell me, what books have given you more joy? Which books in particular?
So my principals have done extremely well, and connecting with kids of that age, that exuberance, that enthusiasm, that innocence, they don't judge you, right? And at the same time, their feedback is bang on.
Mm-hmm.
No, they are not hypocritical. Like an adult would say, still like to be politically correct or socially correct. A kid would be brash, he would be bold, and he would be, just like that. So writing for them is a huge challenge, and when you connect with them, it's extremely fulfilling. So my books have done very well, and I also perform those stories, and seeing the joy, and I dance with them. I'm a terrible singer and a great dancer, I think. So I indulge in all those antics, and watching that exuberance on their face, the joy on their face, watching them connect with me is absolutely spellbinding.
I'm going to ask you in a while to recite something for us.
Yeah.
But would you like to talk about the books that are lying here?
So this particular book of mine, I would like, this is about coping with cancer. And this book doesn't talk about the coping mechanisms like hospitals, treatment, and those health protocols. It talks about simple strategies which you and I, any average person, can adopt and adapt when faced with any crisis, not only cancer. And so I would just like to discuss a few strategies. One is, investing in relationships.
Yeah.
I believe the biggest treasure is relationships. And in this rooted race of life, we forget people who are very close to us. Even online, offline friends, our relatives, our friends, our parents, our kids, that connect is slowly eroding. So I have created this concept called, you've heard of this ATM card, anytime memory card, anytime machine or automatic teller machine card, anytime money. So I've created this card called anytime memory card.
Mm-hmm.
This card is created by investing in 2 4-letter words, love and time. This card cannot be hacked, it cannot be stolen, it cannot be lost, it cannot be torn, and irrespective of the vagaries of the stock market, its value continuously rises. In fact, it's invaluable, it is priceless. And how do you create memories? By doing simple things, by watching the sunset with your partner, by playing in the rain, dancing in the rain with your child, by taking a walk, playing a game of Ludo. Create these memories and keep stocking your card. And when you're feeling down and out, encash it, live in the moment and be happy. That's one. The second thing is to live in the present moment. Like, sir, cancer, the only certainty is the uncertainty. It's like a stealth warrior and can always creep back. But if I start thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, I'll smudge, smother, and smash the beautiful moments of today. So I don't think about tomorrow. I live in the today, in the here and now. The third is to follow a passion. Like for me, writing is a passion. For you, giving motivational speech, there are so many other passions you have. So after my discharge, I created a structure. And I started by just writing a little bit on social media, sharing my views and all. Then I wrote 3 books in the last 2 years. This was my first book, Shriek and Other Spooky Tales. And this is the background is cancer, where a grandpa is affected by the deadly scourge, and his granddaughter tries to get him out of that depression, that gloom. Yeah, by spending fun moments, creating memories. And this group, like I said, coping with cancer. So another strategy which I would like to share is, we are very serious beings, especially Indians. We have so much to laugh about, but we take life so seriously. What I say that whether you have a bum on your boil or your mom is boiling, whatever, whether it's sublime or ridiculous, take it with humor. So when I was going through this period of mine, this cancer journey, one of my cancer friends, one of my doctor friends rang me up and said, that I mean, you've been going all out. You've gone on Facebook and Insta, you've shared your stories, reels, parodies and all. But now you have to internalize. You have to become an antarmukhi. So I told him, bro, for the last 6 months, I feel half of Bangalore spearing into my rectum. And my rectum has got more eyeballs than the Natu dance. How much more antarmukhi should I get? Then each relative of mine, he rang to Marvi and said, what is Ravi doing? He's flirting with death. He is making a mockery of a serious disease like cancer. If he continues like this, he will die in bits and pieces. I told Madhvi, tell him, Ramin will not allow any colon cancer to put a period, a comma, or even a semicolon to his creativity and humor. Tell him 2022 is the age of the comedian. Zelensky in Ukraine, Bhagwan Man in Punjab, and hopefully Ramendra Kumar in Bangalore. Finally, tell him that Ramin believes in 2 great philosophers. 1975, Gabbar Singh said, "Jo dar gaya, samjho mar gaya." 2022, Pushpa, who said, "Sala, mai chati gaya."
This is like a filmy dialogue. What we've said is from the heart, and we can see the philosophy, the kind of joie de vivre, and also you're the first person I heard calling the rat race the rodent race, which is so respectable sounding. The way you live is the way you are, and the way you think is very accurate. So being a writer, you also talk in a very literary way. It's a joy to be talking. So the thing is, Ramendra, that this inspiring conversation that we're having, and you're telling us the very deep secrets of how to combat life's problems, not only this one, but any kind of problem. People would say it's easier said than done. You can have the attitude, you can have the insight, you can have that knack, but when the challenge comes at its worst, it becomes almost impossible to implement whatever you believe in. So, what is it that you have banked upon in your most frightening moments?
So, like I mentioned, my inspiration has been my father. And my father's journey also was very, very traumatic. But I have never seen him down. Never seen him down and out. And he would always keep telling me that faith in God, and he didn't have this kind of sense of humor, a deep faith and belief in God, and some kind of equanimity, that nothing is permanent. No sorrow, no tragedy, no chaos is permanent. Live in the moment and hope for the best. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That has been my guiding force. And sometimes you have a choice. And when you know that if I crumble, if I get crushed, what is going to happen to my family? that kept me going. That my family is everything for me. So if I collapse, where will they go? What will happen to them? That kept me going. That was my greatest motivation.
I think it's fabulous. I think the way you managed to ingrain that belief and being a motivational speaker myself, I have many a time been asked this question: how do you keep inspiring yourself? So I think we must admit, you and I probably, to be blessed with some kind of mindset, some kind of heart.
100%.
Just refuses to buckle.
Absolutely, sir. That I owe to my father.
Yeah. And it could have been the other way around. People who have maybe suffered in the past life or whatever the reason is, they are little things bother them a lot, and they come in a mind, and they start getting finicky, restless, and agitated, and aggrieved by things which are not really that difficult to handle. But then they're losing the battle of the mind. So this battle of the mind is where it really. I want to ask you something which is related. Have you taken a lot of inspiration from sports, from sportsmen and women? Have they been role models who have, when we watch Usain Bolt running or Tendulkar scoring one of those centuries or John T. Rhodes riding, I mean, we still get those.
Yeah.
So has that helped as well?
So I played all kinds of sports across the board, and I was perfect in all of them, except in cricket. I was an spinner. I played tennis.
Okay.
But sports has taught me so much. I see sports as a metaphor for life. Like you have challenges in life, you have challenges in sports, the up and down, the roller coaster, and sports teaches you life lessons like camaraderie, like teamwork, finding the toughest of challenges but never giving up.
Absolutely.
I remember Kapil Dev's speech to his, or his interaction with his teammates when India didn't score that well and all that. And I remember, I think it was Rafael Nadal who had this abdominal injury.
Yeah.
And he continued playing Wimbledon and he won that match. These are such inspiring stories.
Sports is something which the world can be inspired by, and all kinds of negatives can go ways. But poetry is another one which you talked about, and so why don't you recite about this?
So this poem of mine is very, very close to my heart, and this is a parody of Amitabh Bachchan's horrible play in Silsila. So it goes like this: मैं और मेरा कैंसर, मैं और मेरा कैंसर अक्सर ये बातें करते हैं, तुम न होते तो ऐसा होता, तुम न होते तो वैसा होता। न रेडिएशन का ये तोड़ना, न कीमो का निचोड़ना, न सर्जरी की दहशत, न स्कैन्स की परेशानी, हर ओर एक काली स्याही, एक अजब सी हैरानी। मैं और मेरा कैंसर अक्सर ये बातें करते हैं, तुम न होते तो ऐसा होता, तुम न होते तो वैसा होता। पर कैंसर तुम न होते तो मैं हंसता नहीं इतना, हर पल को गले लगाकर मैं जीता नहीं इतना। पर कैंसर तुम न होते तो मैं हंसता नहीं इतना, हर पल को गले लगाकर मैं जीता नहीं इतना। रिश्तों की भी शायद सही पहचान नहीं होती, मेरे दिल में सदा खिलती ये मुस्कान नहीं होती। रिश्तों की भी शायद सही पहचान नहीं होती, मेरे दिल में सदा खिलती ये मुस्कान नहीं होती। यूं हालातों से लड़ने की हिम्मत नहीं होती, अपनों को हिम्मत देने की ये ताकत नहीं होती। कैंसर तुमने मुझको खुद से मिला दिया, विष में घोलकर ही सही जैसे अमृत पिला दिया। कैंसर तुमने मुझको खुद से मिला दिया, विष में घोलकर ही सही जैसे अमृत पिला दिया। तुम न होते तो अब इतना मस्त नहीं रहता, कल की फिक्र में आज को मसल देता। तुम न होते तो अब इतना मस्त नहीं रहता, कल की फिक्र में आज को मसल देता। मैं यूं ही पड़ा रहता, जिंदगी भी पड़ी रहती। मैं यूं ही पड़ा रहता, जिंदगी भी पड़ी रहती। जिंदगी लंबी तो होती पर बड़ी नहीं रहती, जिंदगी लंबी तो होती पर बड़ी नहीं रहती।
क्या बात है राहुल, क्या बात है। ये जो आपके ऊपर इन्फ्लुएंस है फिल्म्स का, स्पोर्ट्स का, लाइफ का, और उसको आपने इतने पॉजिटिव ढंग से, यू आर वेरी वेरी इंस्पायरिंग पर्सन। So glad to have had you on the show.
Thank you.
It's time to go, but then we will keep these memories and thoughts with you, with us. In fact, आपने जो अभी कविता सुनाई, this reflects the essence of your thoughts, your mindset.
Thank you, sir.
I think your family and you deserve a lot of credit for the way you handle that. My best wishes.
Thank you. And thank you so much. Thank you.